Good morning. Welcome to Ramblings with Joe. I'm back on my normal schedule. And I have to admit, as a man of habit, I kind of like the normal schedule. I'm very happy with my company, and I like helping people. And when I can help people and get paid, well, that's the whole package there. That's wonderful. Not a big nights fan. Working third shift, which is what I call what I just came off of, it's a little bit hard on the body. That's a young man's game. I don't mind doing that, filling in, helping out when needed. And this training that I just went through, it's the boss explained it to me, our terminal manager, that this is just, in case something happens, they're going to put me in it. We've got a guy going out for surgery, so I'll be going back to my normal route and doing my normal routine, which I'm a man of habit. I try and create some good habits. And there's a truth that a lot of companies and a lot of people don't want to look at. And that is working nights is very hard on a person's biology. The idea that you can offset this and make it just as an effective lifestyle as working days, you can't do it. I think the only way that you might be able to do that is with some light therapy. And basically what you're doing is you're fooling your body into thinking that the sun is rising and setting in a different spot. But it's my personal belief that we're also kind of tuned in with the rest of the people in the world, and that when you're out, when the rest of the people in your area are awake, I think that affects your biology as well. Nights are not something that I really enjoy. I do enjoy the people that I worked with. I enjoy the job that I was doing. The training I was getting was awesome. The guy that was training me, super guy, really nice guy. It's difficult to do, and probably the only thing worse than working nights is working a swing shift where, 1 week you're working one set of hours and then the next week you swing to a different set of hours. And that's a rough job right there. In my early days of trucking, I would do quite a bit of, there's a little bit involved with this. So when I was a younger guy and I was driving a truck and I was over the road, the hours were set up. Government regulates your hours, and of course they do such a horrific job of it, and they always have. It's a little bit better now than it used to be, but it's still pretty bad. But the hours that we used to have to do logbooks. Now everybody's on what we call e-log, electronic logs, and it's all controlled in the truck. So the logs, the regulations required that you could drive. So strange. You could drive 10 hours and then you had to take a break, and you had to take an 8-hour break. I've never been one that sleeps a whole lot. Now, when I was a teenager, obviously I slept a lot, but 8 hours was a lot of time to kill when I was out on the road, sleeping in the truck, and 8 hours was a lot of time to kill. So I would drive for 10 hours, which basically meant, I would drive and take a short break to eat and kind of take 1 or 2 breaks during the day to go to the bathroom, but mostly it was driving for 10 solid hours. Then you had an 8-hour break, and then you drive for 10 hours. Well, if you do the math rather quickly, that's an 18-hour day. And there's no such thing as an 18-hour day. We all have 24-hour days. And that would create a rotating schedule, which I took full advantage of. I would, when you're doing that job, you get paid if your wheels are moving. You don't get paid by the hour. You get paid if your wheels are moving. So you wanted to keep the truck moving as much as you could. And that's what I did. I tried to keep the truck moving. So basically I was having 18-hour days. So I would start the week, at 6 o'clock in the morning, do my run. And you're dropping and hooking, doing all kind of different things during the week. But the primary thing you're doing is driving a truck. And I would roll out. And by the end of the week, my schedule would be completely opposite from when it started. So I'd start at 6 in the morning. Let's say Sunday, start at 6 in the morning. And by Saturday, I was asleep at 6 in the morning and I was getting up at 6 in the evening and driving all night long. It was a horrendous schedule, but it was really the only way to make a good living when you were OTR back in the day. It is very difficult to be an OTR driver. It is a job that is underappreciated by most Americans and certainly underappreciated by the people that employ them. They are underpaid. They are paid well. I would call them probably in the, lower middle class to middle class level, but they are underappreciated. They are away from their family constantly. It's why I don't do it anymore. I don't want to be away from my family. You sacrifice a lot, and their pay has not kept up with inflation like the rest of us in the working class. The inflation has outpaced our pay, and we are making less than the people that were doing the same job 30 years ago in real dollars. But that was the essence of trucking, was back in the day. And of course there were people, I'm guilty of it too. There were people who used multiple logbooks if you wanted to drive. If you wanted to have a normal schedule where you drove 10 hours and you had a 14-hour break, you didn't need to use an extra logbook. But if you drove 10 hours and you slept 6 hours and you drove another 10 hours, well, you can't have that. That if they check your logbooks, they'll give you a ticket. There were a lot of drivers that ran multiple logbooks, and I'm guilty of it. I didn't do it often, but I have done it when I wanted some extra money or I wanted to go home. When you had to do something like that, it felt wrong because what you were doing was breaking the law, but the law was set up so miserable. I think the problem with the law is that they think everybody's schedule is set in stone. What DOT should probably do is check your logbooks and look for a schedule that has a pattern so that, you're running. Right now we can run 11 hours a day, and then we have to be off for, basically 10 hours. And then you can also work for 3 hours a day. So now you have a 24-hour day. You can move that schedule around. You can run 4 hours and then take a 10-hour break, and you can run 11 more hours. What DOT should be looking for is not a set amount of hours that you're doing something, but rather a schedule that you're adhering to, with few exceptions, that you are getting regular sleep and you're establishing a sleep pattern that is healthy, that can keep you safe and the people on the road safe. And I'm not sure that we'll ever see that with the DOT because the companies don't want to allow it. The companies want to, have a lot of flexibility with their drivers so that they can. I really am rambling today, but the companies want to make sure they have a lot of flexibility so they can go pick up loads when they want and have the drivers drive whenever they want. And it's a very unhealthy lifestyle. I've had young people ask me, should they go into trucking? And I've been very honest with them, and I've told them I at this point, I would definitely find something in a different line of work. Robo trucks is what most of us call it. It's looming. Most of the OTR drivers that you see on the open road, my guess is within 20 years, they're gone. Those are all going to be self-driving trucks. There's not a future in it. It is going to be really the only trucking that will happen, and probably eventually that will be replaced, just like every other job will be replaced by technology. Is the only other trucking job is the local jobs, where you're going to really strange places. One of the things that they were training me on was to make sure the driver could get their truck into the specific addresses. And one of them we looked at was a dirt road. And that's always kind of daunting, because if you're in an 18-wheeler and you're going down a dirt road, it's another level of experience you need, because dirt roads are very, very slippery when it rains. Let's see, in the past 3.5 years, I have been stuck a couple times just because you don't have a choice. You have to make your delivery. You go down a dirt road. You don't expect it to be as slippery as it is. And all of a sudden you're stuck. And the 2 times I've gotten stuck was in the middle of the road. I wasn't in the ditch. I was just lost traction. I couldn't move. So they had to bring a wrecker out and pull me out. But so we were looking at one of the addresses, and it was a dirt road, and it had some very sharp turns, and had to send a shorter trailer in on it. And it was still iffy. The driver still gets final say. Like I said, my company's awesome, and they're not going to hold it against the driver. If the driver gets there, looks down the road and says, I ain't going down there, I'm going to get stuck. So, and they're okay with that. There are companies that will say, no, you have to go down that dirt road and you have to attempt delivery. And then if you get stuck, they're going to, blame you and you're in trouble. That's not my company. My company's nothing like that. I am very joyful to say that. It is wonderful who I work for. And this coffee is wonderful. Can you tell I like my schedule and I like my coffee? So that's trucking in a nutshell. Don't know how I got down that road, but here we are, traveling down roads unknown. So I'm swing shifting. I don't like it, but I've been doing life long enough where I know how to set it up. And yesterday I worked all night, did a 9-hour day, and then I took a 3-hour nap. And then last night I hit the sack because I know how important sleep is, especially in a job where you've got people's lives in your hands, which every trucker does. So last night I said, okay, hard bedtime. No exceptions. And I was in bed by 9, and I got my 7-hour sleep. So I'm feeling pretty good. But, like I said, that swing shift still messes with your head a little bit. But it is Thursday. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do the best I can and make sure that I don't hurt myself or anybody else. Make sure that everybody I interact with, both on the road and in person, gets home to see their family. Because that's really what we're all out here doing. We're sneaking up on the weekend, and I'm going to spend some time with the family this weekend. I hope that you go out and spend some time with your family. And if you don't have family, make a family. Family doesn't mean that you have to be blood related. It's nice when it is, but you can have your own family and make your own family. It can be family of friends is what it can be. But I hope that you go out and you have a fantastic Thursday. And I hope that you've enjoyed my rambling, which this was a rambling episode. I just came in here and said, let me talk. And I talked. I hope that you have a fantastic Thursday. I hope that you go out and you find peace, love, and dream. Until next time, take care of yourself.